Hello and welcome. This is a video that hopefully will help you understand a few different numbers that are going to be beneficial if you are starting your own school. So, the idea is what we're doing here is ChatGPT has helped me build this um, Excel file. Okay, so it's an Excel file. So what this is going to do for us is it's actually going to do the numbers for us. So what I'll do as well is I'll include the link in our community that we've got. So the idea is you have to work out. So this is based on as well a part-time facility. So a part-time facility would be like a school hall or church hall, something like that. So when you are in one of those places, you have a per hour cost. Now I've put this down as a £20 per hour. Now this can actually be pretty high in some areas, and it can be pretty low in other areas. When I first started in the area that I'm in now, I was in a church community centre, and that was £12.50. However, that was half the price of what I was paying in another area. So again, area dependent and facility dependent as well. So this is based on £20 teaching 4 hours per week. So that would be a kids and an adults class twice a week is what I base that on. So weeks per month average is 4.33 because hardly any weeks have 4 weeks, okay, except February. All the other weeks are going to have a little bit more. So this is just an average. So you're going to have to work out your insurance per month. So I'm just going to put some figures in here. So let's say that your insurance is £50, okay? And you're probably going to need a CRM, okay? If you're brand new and just starting out, I would still get a CRM system. Something relatively low cost, something that maybe grows as you grow. So let's say to start out with, that's going to be £50, okay? There can be a lot more. But obviously you don't want to be spending hundreds of pounds on a CRM if you've not got any members yet, okay? Because that's basically your member database. So marketing per month, I put this as £300 basically because £300 is £10 a day. Okay, so if you go £10 a day on advertising, Facebook, Google, whatever advertising you've done in the past that works. If you've not done any, don't worry. You could put this at zero, and you could just have this as price of leaflets that you're going to put out. You could even put it as price of your time if you're going to be doing stuff in the community and schools to try and promote your classes. Whatever that might be, marketing should be a cost, okay? Because this is how people work out or people find out who you are and what you do. So other monthly costs you can put in here. So when you're in a part-time facility, it's quite handy because you don't have to buy toilet roll, you don't have to buy cleaning facilities. The facilities are usually often cleaned themselves. But if it's not, then you'll have to factor in some of these costs, whether you're having to buy toilet roll, buy wipes, all this sort of stuff that comes into it. If you have any equipment that you've got on lease, so if you have bought loads of mats, but actually you're paying monthly for them, that might be a monthly cost. Otherwise, mats, bags, anything like that would come into like initial investment. And then you've got an average price per member per month. So 55 is just really, really random. It can be whatever it wants in there. I'll even drop it down just to help make it a little bit more realistic. So if you're charging £50 for 2 classes a week, then first of all, that's very, very reasonable because if we go to 40, 8 classes, that's £5 a class. So you're between £5 and £6 a class at £50 a month. So what you've got here is it's just worked it all out for us. So total hire per month will be 346. Fixed monthly costs will be 400. That is the insurance, software, and marketing. So total monthly costs here. So what you've got here is a break-even members is 15. So you'd need 15 members to break even. Obviously, you're not going in this to break even and not make any money from it, because the other thing you've got to take into account is other monthly costs is you might be paying a member of staff, so somebody else, whether that's a team that helps you, or obviously we want to pay ourselves out of it, but that might not be realistic from the get-go when you're not making any money. So target members for comfort would be 20, okay? So that would be break even plus 5. So it's a bit more room to breathe there. So if we look at the scenarios over here, at 10 members, we'd be 500 monthly revenue. That's worked out from the £50. So we're actually down. So say we get 10 members in month 1, we're actually down, okay? Having said that, if I get to 20 members, I'm already up. 30 members, I'm up some more, 40, 50. So if I get to 50 members, which is more than realistic, I'll be at £1,700. So that will be completely profit. So then you would go back to your things and look at, okay, is the things I want to improve? And one thing that I would definitely suggest as well is if your martial arts doesn't need mats, so if you're standing up the whole time, then have a think about these costs initially, because if you invest in them early, yes, it's going to cost you. Yes, you've not made any money yet, so it's pure cost. But also, people don't see the difference. If you start on the floor, on a hardwood floor, like many dance classes do, and then 6 months in, you're making a little bit of profit. So you go, okay, I'm going to reinvest into the business, and I'm going to get some mats down. Okay. And your members are going to see that you're putting that money back into the business. So that's a bonus. Okay. And again, just question whether you actually need mats. If you're throwing each other on the floor or rolling around on the floor, then you need mats. If you're not doing that, if you're doing purely stand up and everything that you do, if people hit the floor less than twice in a class, then you probably can get away without mats. Other things to consider as well. So this is based on 20, well, depending on your space, we'll do 20 as an average. So say if you've got 20 people in a class, so you've got 20 people in your kids class, 20 people in your adults class. Now, if they're both training twice a week, then actually your cap, your maximum capacity is only 40 members. Hopefully that makes sense. So you've got the ability to put 40 members into those classes. So obviously we're looking at this one, 40, monthly revenue, 1,200. Okay, for 4 hours a week, not bad. The other thing we've got to take into account is if we want to increase the classes, then the actual outgoings only go up a little bit, because even though it's 4 teaching hours, you've got to take into account getting to the venue. The venue might be 20, 30 minutes away. You've got to then do any setup that you need. So all this cost, say we've got an hour at the front and an hour at the end. So the teaching hours per week are still 4 because that's the teaching hours. But if I've got an hour on day 1 on either side, that 2 hours turns into 4. And then obviously so it's looking more like 8 hours a week if that's what you are working out. Having said that, if you then add an additional class, and I'm basing it off the class being 60 minutes, okay, but yours might be shorter, might be longer. But if you add an additional class, you've only added 1 more hour. Okay, so obviously that's your time. But if I go here and instead of teaching hours per week, I go for 6, because that's 1 class on each day, 3 classes a night. Then what I'm doing here is I'm going teaching hours per week is 6. Again, this is 40, this is 20. So what I've got is, if I have the same amount of members, obviously I'm spending more. I'm going down here. But now, if I add that extra class on, I can now fit in 20 more. So I could get this all the way to 60, which I've not put in. Or ChatGPT didn't help me out on that one. So I could get to 60. So then I can fit more people in. And actually the outgoings a lot of the time don't go up. The software is not going to go up. The insurance isn't going to go up. The marketing also might not go up. The other thing you've got to think about as well is, lots of people when they open their schools, they might spend thousands on marketing. If you don't have that initial investment, you're going to have to find other ways, whether it's free marketing, whether it's low cost like leafleting, free Facebook groups, all that sort of stuff. This is just a rough idea of costs and what it might take to actually start a martial arts school. So if you have any questions about this, please let us know. Please join the online community that I'm going to put the link for in the video below. But other than that, Have a good day.